This program contains candid discussion of gender identity and may include adult topics and language. Listener discretion is advised. This episode of Trans Chat is being brought to you by True Voice Lessons, LLC. Offering the finest in online voice and music instruction, True Voice has what you're looking for. Transgender voice training, singing, guitar, piano, and much, much more. Let our highly qualified staff of instructors help you achieve your goals. TrueVoiceLessons.com. Unlock your true voice today.
Trans Chat with Christiana. Real people, real lives, real talk. Trans Chat with Christiana.
Hi, friends, and welcome to Trans Chat. Real people, real lives, real talk. I'm your host, Christiana Brekke. Namaste, Arsunain Kelia Danyavad. On this episode, a couple of firsts on Trans Chat. Starting with a brand new mini segment called My Most Embarrassing Early Transition Moment. A chance for us to share and laugh at some of the funnier and more humiliating moments we've endured as we first set out on our trans journeys. Then, today's interview, my first chat with a trans couple. I have a fun conversation with Faith Gambetty and Katherine Barrett, co-owners of Wavelengths Salon, the only openly LGBTQ+ friendly hair salon in conservative Southeast Washington State. They are a delight, so I hope you stay tuned for that.
Trans Chat with Christiana.
We're starting a new segment here on Trans Chat called My Most Embarrassing Early Transition Moment. A chance to shed a little light and humor on what is most often a very difficult time in our transition. Those early, awkward, humiliating, and hilarious moments we all go through on our trans journey. If you would like to share an embarrassing early transition memory, go to our Facebook page and leave me a comment or message. And maybe one day I'll get a chance to read your embarrassing transition moment here on the podcast. Since this is the first installment in the series, I'll start by sharing one of my own horrifying early transition moments. It was very early in my transition. I was just out of the closet, but had not yet started hormone replacement. I was trudging through those first public outings dressed as a woman, or at least as close as I could get to it at the time. That really awkward time when it feels like everyone is staring at you and judging you with their eyes. I was a big girl, as I still am, and I thought I needed really big boobs. So I wore these big silicone breast forms that gave me like a D cup. They were huge, but not in a good Dolly Parton way. So one day, I went to the corner store, fully dressed, made up, and decked out because that's the only way I would go out in public in those days as my true self. It was a hot July day, and so between my nerves and the summer heat, I was sweating like crazy. I could feel the silicone breast forms sliding around in my bra as I moved my arms. I got my items and went to the checkout. And as I was reaching for my purse, one of those big sweaty breast forms slipped out of my bra and fell to the floor. And with a half dozen or so people behind staring at me, I was absolutely mortified. I quickly scooped up my boob, stuffed it in my purse, and finished the transaction. It was one of the early moments that, at the time, made me seriously doubt my decision to transition. But I can look back on it now and see that it was absolutely hilarious, for one thing. But in reality, it just made me stronger as a trans woman and more determined to improve myself. Again, if you would like to share your most embarrassing early transition moment, leave me a message or comment on the Facebook page at Trans Chat with Christiana, and I would love to read it on a future episode.
Trans Chat with Christiana.
Faith Gambetty and Katherine Barrett, co-owners of Wavelengths Salon. An LGBTQ-friendly salon in what is arguably one of the most LGBTQ non-friendly places in the region, in that part of the Pacific Northwest. I mean, that's that's a pretty bold statement. Tell me about that. How did that come about?
Okay, so I started an early retirement because I took ill in 2010, and at the time I owned Barbershop USA, and I went into the hospital in September 2010, and when I came out, I was there for 8 days. When I came out, I was on oxygen. They said I would be on oxygen 24/7 for the rest of my life. So I actually did hair from late October until July of 2011, and I had to close my salon. It was just too difficult for me. My doctor didn't want me working more than 3 hours a day, and I just couldn't sustain a business working 3 hours a day. So I closed the shop down. It was one of the hardest things that I ever did. I had to drive past it many days, and all I could do is just stare at my old building. I love doing hair so much. It's my passion. I love the clients. I love everybody that sits in my chair. All have their own stories to listen to. So I just thought that I would never be able to do hair again. So I was on Social Security disability, and I had some kind of miracle happen in my life, and it's still unexplainable. My oxygen saturation level went up from an average of 86, 87, shot up clear to 92, 93.
Wow.
So they did some lung function tests on me, and sure enough, I had shown great improvement. So in January of 2014, I was taken off of oxygen. So I felt like, so a lot of time had lapsed, and I was on Social Security disability, which doesn't pay very much. So I wanted to go back to work at doing hair. But I had already, so this was in 2019. And so I thought, I have always said to myself that I would never work in a chain salon doing hair. I've only worked for myself in this business. I've never worked for anyone. But I swallowed a whole bunch of pride and decided that I would go to work. And I didn't think that I was going to run into any problems or snags, because I was a successful salon owner and barbershop owner for many years. And So I started trying to apply for jobs. People wouldn't even give me an application. So I was 64 years old at the time. So 64-year-old transgender woman, nobody was interested in me. They had every excuse in the entire world. So Catherine and I, we weren't romantically involved at that time, although I was in love with her. She said, the heck with them. Let's just open our own LGBTQ plus inclusive salon. So we did. We first took some surveys on the LGBTQ plus pages to make sure that people would visit our salon and become a client's guest. And so the polls that we took were just absolutely overwhelmingly positive. So
Nice.
Here we are. So that's really the birth of Wavelengths Salon. And it's really has been absolutely totally amazing. We have 2 girls at least stations from us. The entire LGBTQ plus community is learning about us, and we are growing. So that
Nice.
is pretty much, in a nutshell, the birth of Wavelengths Salon.
Nice. Awesome. Why Tri-Cities? Is that where you're from? Is that home or?
Well, yeah, I've lived here since 1984, so
Okay.
it is, where my home is. So
Yeah.
the obvious place to try to set up a salon, and we felt very fortunate to find this space that was pretty much perfect for a really good price.
Nice.
We're kind of tucked away here in this little strip mall, so it's a little hard to find. But it's a wonderful, cozy little salon. It's also an art gallery, so a lot of my art is on the wall, and we have several other artists that are displaying and selling work. And so we just had one of those artists that sold a painting, I think, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
she sold a watercolor that was very beautiful. It was a painting of peppers.
Oh.
So, like red, yellow, green peppers. That was really stunning. So it was really wonderful to see artwork that people come in and noticed on the wall and then just want to have. I've got to have this piece. And
Right.
of course, it makes the artists feel wonderful to know that their artwork is so loved and in their house now.
Yeah.
Right. So we met a transgender woman just probably about 6 weeks ago, and I happened to be at the salon, and a phone call came in, and it was a person asking if they could get a haircut right then. And I had just stopped in. I really wasn't working that day. And so this person, Tammy, she showed up, and she's in the in-between stage. And so we find out that, she's also an artist. So we're here. We have so many people reaching out, and so many transgender women and transgender men. Many of them, this is the first place they have ever gone in public. So we are known in town for being the safe zone. So
Yeah.
the salon is amazing in so many ways because, we do hair here, but it's bigger than just hair, So we're hoping that once COVID is totally under control, that this can be a place for people to meet, to gather, to come visit, to meet each other, and have a safe zone. So,
Yeah.
and we have met so many transgender men as well who don't feel comfortable going to a barber shop or a salon, so they come to us instead. So, so it's just such an amazing feeling knowing that we are providing space for like-minded people.
Yeah. Awesome. That's so awesome. I'm so respectful. Just nothing but respect for you two. Talk about some place where there was a need, right? I mean, you think, okay, well, yeah, you might have gotten more business if I were over in Portland or someplace like that. But talk about being someplace where there was a need.
Right. So,
right?
Yeah, we have mothers that bring their transgender daughters in, and this could be the first place they've ever gone in public.
Yeah.
In fact, recently we had Jayla, and she came in with her mother, and her mother was extremely supportive. Jayla was just so nervous she could barely speak.
Yeah.
But she wanted her hair done, and she wanted, of course, a very femme cut that Faith did for her. But I didn't push at all. I didn't try to strike up too much of a conversation because I could tell that she was very, very nervous. But we do get that where this is the first place they go. They don't have much to say because they're so scared to death.
Yeah.
But we just try to be supportive,
Yeah. Gosh, that is so awesome. So awesome.
Trans Chat with Christiana.
Kath is an artist, and she has an art room. And so she spends time alone in her art room. Doing
kind of a sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Kath and I, it doesn't really matter what we're doing, I mean, we do like to fish. Kath really, I wanted to fish my entire life but never did it. So Kath has gotten me into it. So, when I first met Kath, I was in my in-between stage, and I got dressed as myself, Faith, one night, and there is an art gallery in town called a Spectrum Art Gallery, or Spectra Art Gallery, and I got dressed as myself, and I went. So that was the first time here in the Tri-Cities, speaking about being afraid, and in this very conservative area. The only place that I had ever been dressed as myself was, behind closed doors and locked doors and closed curtains. So I went and visited a friend in Southern California, and for 5 days, and I was able to be myself there. But then I came back home, and I was in the in-between stage, and I met Kath at the art gallery. She walked up to me and said, "I'm Kath." And so that's how we met. And then 2 weeks later, there was a makeup class, and I went, and Kath was there. So we sat out over half of the makeup class, and we were just talking, chatting back and forth. And I was so much more interested in her than I was in the makeup class. And we've been inseparable ever since. But I was in the in-between stage, so Kath would say, "Let's meet at Starbucks. Let's meet at Denny's at such day, such time." And I would get dressed as myself. So she helped me really come out.
She was a frightened little rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically, for me. I mean, if she hadn't been there for me, I just don't know. I mean, she just really took me under her wings, and she never pushed me. She never said, "Do this or do that," just do whatever you feel like, you're comfortable with, and I did. And I was uncomfortable being myself where I was living, so I moved, and here I am now. It'll be 3 years in October. We met October 30th of 2018.
Nice.
So we're going on 3 years, and so I have come a really long ways. So she helped me with everything. She had already done it before me, so she helped me with all the legal matters, the changing of the name, and all of that. And so,
Awesome.
yeah, so I am going to be having my surgery coming up here in April. And so Kath helped me, through all of that. And, I had no idea, I've always wanted to have surgery. I've always wanted to be myself. But, I had no idea how to make that come true, that dream come true.
Yeah.
So, but Kath had already been there. She had already done it. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Trans Chat with Christiana.
We had some people, I believe, from the barber shop that were just parking in front of our salon, taking our spaces, and Faith went out and challenged somebody out in front about parking there, and he was horribly obnoxious, and she backed up, I think, into the salon and locked the door. So there's been a few things like that, but overall, I mean, we've done some shows with the local news station, TV station a couple times, and we've been out in public and people say, "Oh, I remember you. You were on TV." So, it's mostly been pretty positive with, we've had a few encounters with people that have been a little bit unpleasant, but...
Yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, really, that's overall. I mean, I would have not been surprised at all if you'd had a big laundry list full of incidences and things.
Yeah, so so we're kind of known throughout the Tri-Cities. Like Kath said, we'll go someplace and someone says, "Oh, I recognize you," so our visibility is really known. People know who we are. I thought myself, once we opened up the salon and that we advertised that we were LGBTQ plus inclusive, that there might be some problems. But the only incident that we've really had here at the salon was a person that was yelling and screaming at me, being very belligerent and calling me names, So, I just ignored that person, came in and locked the door. It was pretty scary. It was a scary encounter. It really was. This person was out of control, you might say. So,
Wow.
But other than that, we get, sometimes, a hard stare once in a while, and when that happens, we don't take our eyes off those people, but we don't say anything either. So, we are fully aware that there are people out there that don't like us, and for whatever reason. So, we had over 30 people murdered last year alone, transgender women.
Yeah.
And so, but most people, they're just curious. I mean, for the most part, they want to say hello, how are you? They want to ask questions, and, I'm open to anybody asking questions, and, I'm all for educating people, and I like, clearing the path for younger transgender people, whether it be male or female, so that this visibility that Katherine and I have, our presence in the public, I think it's just really a really super good thing, for our community, for
Yes.
the LGBTQ plus community, and for the transgender community as well. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah, people who are curious, that's, no issue at all as far as if they want to ask you questions or learn more. I think a lot of transgender people kind of have this assumption that, the cis population out there, understands or has knowledge of transgender people, but they really don't. They have all kinds of weird misconceptions, just a whole laundry list of them.
Yes.
And if you have a person that is genuinely wants to learn more about, transgender people, then that's wonderful.
Yeah.
We can help with some of those issues that they probably have never met someone who's transgender.
Right.
Never had a conversation with anyone. And so,
before COVID hit, so Kath and I went out to watch a friend of ours, a friend of mine that I've known since 2005. And that's the Von Jensen experience. And so we went out to Michelle's to listen to him once a month, and Kath and I like to slow dance. So we kind of were like, one night we were sitting in a kind of hard to describe, but we were sitting kind of with our backs up to the wall, and around the corner was another room. And so these people would, have to walk past us to go use the restroom, so they're drinking, so they have to use the restroom.
Yeah.
And I noticed a couple of women, really looking at us, and then this man walked by, and, he was killing us with his looks. Catherine didn't notice him, but I did, and I didn't take my eyes off him. And so he went back, used the restroom, went back. So, less than an hour later, here he comes again. So this time Catherine noticed. And both Kath and I were just looking right back at him. And he's actually walking so far that he has to turn his head, almost turn around to stare us down and give us dirty looks, So Kath and I, we had our eyes on him, both of us, and we didn't take our eyes off, and we're just looking right back at him.
Yeah, but we're not doing it in a mean or ugly way or anything. We're just looking at him.
Sure.
Because he's looking at us. So, this is a case of where someone was trying to intimidate us, but we won him over, and finally he smiled and nodded and said hello, So...
Yeah, it took a while.
It took a while, but I know there's hate out there, and everywhere you go there's going to be hate. But gosh, from what I've been experiencing, I've been living as myself now for over 2 years and dressing as myself here in the Tri-Cities in a conservative area. I think that doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, I think there's good people everywhere. Yeah. And I think that people in general are good. And, if we treat them with dignity and respect, they're going to treat us with dignity and respect as well. And I think that we need to take the lead in that. So.
Trans Chat with Christiana.
Where do you see yourselves and Wavelengths in 5-10 years?
10 years down the road is a long ways to, look ahead for us. So I just, I'm hoping I'm still alive and that, I'm, with Catherine and hopefully that this salon is thriving for the LGBTQ plus community. Hopefully we can make enough money someday to start, donating money to other LGBTQ plus charities and helping other people out, other transgender people out, maybe with surgeries. So, that's the overall goal is to reach out and to be there and to help. So 10 years down the road, I just hope that part of the business is just really thriving, that we are so involved in helping people have surgeries, name changes, whatever they may need, we would like to be there for them.
Nice. Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on here. It takes a lot to come on something like this and tell your story. Any final thoughts or final words for our listeners?
My final thought is this, and especially for young people, not caring what other people think is really powerful. And to be just be who you are. So I spent so many years of my life numbing myself with alcohol and drugs because I was living a lie. And if I could just convey the message to don't worry about what other people think, just be yourself, because you will have such a much better life being true to yourself and who you are.
Amen. Great advice. Again, ladies, thanks so much for coming on here. You're the first couple I've had on the podcast, so that's super cool. Come back on again sometime.
Yeah, sure, we'd love to. Thank you so much.
Awesome. You guys take care. Such a pleasure to have Faith and Kath on the podcast. I first met them at a Diversity Pride Center trans support group function in Kennewick, Washington. And I could tell right away that in addition to being charming people, that they were going to be amazing, valuable assets to the community. If you ever find yourself in Southeast Washington State, I hope you'll pay a visit to Wavelengths Salon in Kennewick and show your support for the incredible work these ladies are doing for the local trans and LGBTQ plus community. In Faith's own words, it's bigger than just hair. If you would like to see Trans Chat continue to grow, you can help us do that. Visit our Trans Chat Patreon page and consider becoming a supporter of the podcast. Your monthly gift, big or small, will help us get Trans Chat into as many ears as possible to be a source of encouragement and information to the greater trans community and our allies. Your monthly gift will also give you access to commercial-free episodes, exclusive bonus material, and merchandise. Just visit www.patreon.com and search for Trans Chat with Christiana. You'll find a link in this episode's description. And don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Patreon, and wherever you get your podcasts. As always, I thank you for listening and supporting the trans community. A big shout out to our friends and listeners abroad, and an ultimate shout out to our Trans Chat ultimate supporter, Marcy Sandals. I'm Christiana, and this is Trans Chat, brought to you in part by True Voice Lessons, LLC. Take care, be safe, be you, and be proud.